friends. This is the program Empire of Lies, where we discuss manipulation and disinformation in Russian media. Vladimir Solovyov, from the Burevestnik to a civilizing mission on air, Solovyov once again turns the international agenda into an ideological spectacle. Formally, the discussion focuses on new Russian weapons and Trump's reaction, but in reality, the viewer is being treated to a manifesto of Russian exceptionalism, moral, spiritual, and civilizational. 1. The Burevestnik as a weapon not only physical but also symbolic. The program opens with an enthusiastic description. The West is stunned, intelligence overlooked. Trump didn't understand. Russia, on the other hand, finds itself in the role of a bearer of secret knowledge, a power capable of creating that which is impossible to comprehend. Here, it's not the content that matters, but the form. The Burevestnik is described as an incomprehensible phenomenon, almost mythical. Scientific logic is replaced by mystical logic. It doesn't matter how a missile flies. What matters is that it exists in defiance of Western logic. Solovyov thus moves from military pride to a religious metaphysics of power. Russia is a land of miracles. The West is a land of rational impotence. It is very interesting to observe everything that is happening now. First of all, of course, the appearance of the petrel had a stunning effect. Firstly, because they do not really understand what it is. Well, yes, the British are starting to talk, but we will spread nuclear weapons across the continent. That's nonsense. Whether it's Berlin or anyone else, it doesn't matter. The understanding that no paper tiger with an economy in tatters can produce weapons that are, in principle, quite difficult to even comprehend because there is not enough data. You have to look at everything realistically, analyze it, study the characteristics, try to understand how it's done. It's all very complicated. Then, but this is a big blow, it shows that their intelligence is useless. Because in theory, they should have been tracking, watching, understanding, thinking, counteracting, and already being prepared. They were caught off guard. So when I listened to Trump's answers on Air Force One about the storm, let's just say it straight, it's clear that intelligence did not prepare the briefing. That is, Trump is answering the question, but he was not given in-depth background information so that he could really understand what was going on. 2. The image of the enemy. Trump is not an enemy, but an uncomprehending student. Trump's interviews and remarks are presented as proof of the incompetence of the American state. He didn't receive a briefing, didn't understand what Burevestnik is, and is out of the loop. But this isn't mockery, but condescension. He doesn't understand that Putin knows what he's doing. Solovyov thus constructs a hierarchy. Trump is an emotional businessman. Putin is a rational strategist. Russia is a mature power. America is a student who forgot to learn his lesson. Beneath the veil of sarcasm lies an attempt to upend the familiar asymmetry, presenting the United States not as a teacher, but as a lost student of civilization. 3. Homophobia and religion, the ideological core of the broadcast. The program then moves into an overtly theological and political segment. The West is declared not simply hostile, but godless. American journalist Scott Bessent, the target of personal insults, is mentioned. Solovyov calls him a sodomia and quotes the New Testament, claiming that such people will not inherit the kingdom of heaven. He links the West's hatred of Russia to anti-religious sentiment and contrasts it with Russia's spiritual revival. This is not a random outburst, but a new version of Kremlin ideology. The war is not political, but religious. The West is satanic, Russia is Christian. Thus, propaganda receives moral justification for any aggression. The defense of faith is above international law. 4. From England to LGBT troops, demonstrating the moral decay of Europe. A special place is occupied by the episode about Charles III, who unveiled a monument to LGBT soldiers. For Solovyov, this is not a personal news item, but proof of the end of Christianity in Europe. The Anglican Church is declared apostate, and Britain is declared a rootless country. Thus, the viewer is convinced that the West is not simply against Russia, but against God. That is precisely why, according to the logic of the broadcast, the current war is holy. Think, analyse, draw conclusions, and don't be deceived. This was the programme Empire of Lies.